Okay, video number 2, we're going to continue reading. Remember, our focus question was, how does asking and answering questions help you understand what you read? And we talked about that before. Of course, when we ask questions, it makes things more clear for us, and it helps us remember what we read when we ask and answer questions. All right, let's continue learning about the Ingalls family. Remember, Laura Ingalls and her family lived in what was called a dugout. They actually dug dirt out of the ground, put a little hut over the top, and they lived sort of underground, down under here.
The Ingalls family would have lived in a dugout house like this one. Dugout houses were small and hard to keep clean, but they were warm in winter and cool in summer. Daily life. Most settlers had a stove that they used for both heat and cooking. They burned whatever fuel they could find. If they did not have wood, they burned hay or even chips. These were dried cow droppings.
Ew, gross. I bet that smelled bad. Imagine burning dried cow droppings. Gross. But, anything to keep them warm they were able to use back then.
Dakota Territory. When Laura was 12 years old, the family moved for the last time. Charles settled his family in the Dakota Territory, in what is now De Smet, South Dakota.
Okay, so maybe a question you might have during this is, where's South Dakota? And you could look on the map down here and you could answer it. Oh, there it is. It's right to the west of Minnesota.
Places where the Ingalls family lived.
Okay, so anytime you see a little red dot like that, the Ingalls family lived there. So they lived here in South Dakota, here in Minnesota, here in Wisconsin, and 2 places in Iowa, Burr Oak and Vinton. So, and 1 place in Kansas too. So they moved a lot. So you could only imagine how many times Laura's family moved. That's a lot to get used to.
Laura's family moved many times, as this map shows, before settling in the Dakota Territory. Life in Dakota was hard. The winter of 1880 was very cold and snowy. The many blizzards, or snowstorms, cut off all supplies. The family struggled to survive. School days. Most pioneer children went to school only when they could. Other tasks, such as helping out at home, often came first. The school year usually ran from October to May. That way, children could be at home for planting and harvesting on family farms. Because her family moved so often, Laura mostly taught herself. When she went to school, it was in a one-room schoolhouse. There, children of all ages learned together. Laura and her sisters sometimes walked several miles to school.
Oh man, that's crazy. And also, she taught herself mostly because she really wanted to be going to school, but a lot of times she had to be at home to help planting and harvesting and things like that. So it's pretty crazy that they would walk several miles. That could be like 3, that could be 7 miles. Nothing that we have to do today. Also, she had just a small little one-room schoolhouse. Imagine that. She probably went to school with kids of all ages in one little room instead of having different classrooms like we do today. So there's another example of asking and answering questions, like what did her school look like? And now we're able to answer that.
When she was growing up, Laura went to school in one-room schoolhouses like this one.
Okay, last page. And then on our 3rd video, we'll do vocabulary before you guys do your Google form.
During her time in the Dakotas, Laura met a farmer named Almanzo Wilder. They married in 1885. Laura was then called Laura Ingalls Wilder, the name people know her as today through her well-known books. Laura Ingalls Wilder. Many years later, when she was in her 60s, Laura started writing about her experiences as a girl. In all, she wrote 8 books about life on the frontier, unexplored land. These little house books are still favorites of readers today.
So yeah, you guys can actually find these books all over today. You could go to Barnes & Noble, you could order them on Amazon. These are all books by Laura Ingalls. When she got older, she wrote them about her experience as a pioneer girl when she was just young. Pretty cool. They're still famous today.